Good morning. The second half of 2014 begins on Tuesday, and with that, new regulations and revisions are set to go into effect. Turn the page to the next generation of Hallyu. Korean web cartoons are gaining popularity abroad, with the industry gaining ground. Going viral in Korea. Get a look at this week's hottest clicks, from the ones that make you laugh to the ones that make you cry. And lights, camera, action. Meet a young lady inspired by stunts as she gets on a horse and fires off a few arrows on Korea Today, Monday, June 30th, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And good morning. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm Oh Jin-jo alongside Kim Min-jung and Kim Young.
Good morning, everyone. The Korean national football team has returned to Korea from Brazil after taking part in the World Cup. That's right. It was not a hero's welcome, though. They had no victory this time.
Right.
The first time in 16 years.
The atmosphere at the airport was completely different, actually, compared to 4 years ago when they returned home after advancing to the round of 16. It was rather quiet and calm this time around.
That's right. Some people cheered, some people clapped, and others they booed, and even one of the fans that were antis ended up throwing taffy in front of the team right there as they were lining up to take pictures.
That is wrong.
Now, it's not like giving chocolates on Valentine's Day. Throwing taffy at you, or yut that is, that's an insult, adding insult to injury,
yes,
right?
That's right. And really it is not appreciated at a moment like this. I'm sure they are hurt as well, but we are nevertheless very proud of them, and thank you for making all that effort. So let's give them once again a big round of applause.
All right.
You guys did a good job.
The true Red Devils, they're with you through sickness and in health, through victories and defeats.
I'm a Red Devil myself this morning, right?
Right.
And now we'll jump to our top story for this morning. Just days ahead of what will be the first time in nearly 2 decades a sitting Chinese leader visits South Korea before having been to the north, Pyongyang fired 2 short-range missiles into the East Sea. On Sunday, 3 days after testing their new precision-guided missiles, North Korea fired what are presumed to be short-range Scud-C or Scud-ER missiles from Wonsan. This latest provocation comes ahead of Chinese President Xi Jinping's 2-day state visit to Korea beginning this Thursday, his first trip to the Korean peninsula since assuming office. Analysts believe this may be the North's way of expressing its discontent with Xi's visit to the South and their planned talks on Pyongyang's disputed nuclear weapons program. Though Beijing is considered Pyongyang's closest ally since the Korean War, there have been no summits between the two countries since the death of Kim Jong-il in 2011.
President Park Geun-hye is expected to name General Han Min-gu as Seoul's defense minister as early as this Monday, following his confirmation hearing on Sunday. The Defense Committee of the National Assembly has unanimously agreed that General Han has sound moral values and is fit to serve as the nation's defense minister, having served as chief of staff of the Korean Army on top of his 40 years of experience in the military. General Han pledged during the hearing to establish Korea's indigenous missile defense system at an early date in the face of continuing military threats from North Korea. The 62-year-old added North Korea cannot get what it wants through threats and provocations. 7 other nominees for key government posts, including the chief of the National Intelligence Service and the finance minister, are set to undergo confirmation hearings in the coming weeks.
And the Ministry of Strategy and Finance yesterday published revisions of the laws to take effect in the second half of 2014, adhering to 160 regulations and systems in 27 government departments. Revisions include barring public institutions and private companies from collecting resident registration numbers without legal grounds, a $200 maximum basic pension plan for senior citizens in the lower 70% income bracket, and stronger punishment for child abuse offenders. 30 extra days of maternity leave for working mothers of twins, and food truck conversions, a subject of focus back in March, will also be allowed. The full list will be posted and distributed on central, local, and municipal government websites beginning this Monday.
Fresh and creative. This was how foreign visitors to the London Book Fair earlier this year described Korean webtoons. Webtoon is a term coined in early 2000, a word combining web and cartoon that refers to comics distributed online. And with the number of Korean webtoon fans growing rapidly abroad, especially in the US, Europe, China, and Japan, Korean webtoons are being thought of as the next chapter of the Korean wave, or Hallyu, following Korean TV dramas and K-pop. For more on the industry, let's now connect live to our Chae Hyung-ju. Good morning, Hyung-ju.
Good morning, Jinju. I'm at a cafe based on the Korean webtoon called Majo and Seti. As you can see, some of the various products here, they range from dolls, cups, and cushions and bags, various products related to this webtoon as well. So the industry related to this webtoon or digital comics are expanding very rapidly here in Korea. And with this domestic popularity growing very fast, now it's entering into the global market. So let's take a look. The National Library of Korea attracted many visitors recently for its special exhibition. Under the title All Webtoon, the exhibit features some popular webtoon series and displays how internet comics were developed and produced. These webtoons are growing in popularity beyond the borders, as digital comics are increasing rapidly in global markets.
Previous print comics are rather long and the topics are quite serious, whereas webtoons are lighter and stories unfold faster. As webtoons can appeal to many readers within a short period, they can be seen as one of Korea's representative cultural contents.
According to an industry source, the world comics market is about $9 billion. 17% of it has turned from print to digital comics in the past 3 years. So web comics are expected to make an even bigger hit in the market. The word webtoon emerged in Korea in 2000 when the local portal site Chelci started to scan print comics and post them online. Since 2003, another portal site, Daum, launched its own webtoons, and local digital comics began booming through the next decade.
Webtoon has an advantage in its internet format because its distribution channel is not limited like print comics. Lately, Korean digital comics are getting a lot of attention. As Daum is now making an entry into global market, we expect a positive response overseas since we have star webtoon writers and famous works.
Korean webtoon novelists ranked #1 at a major online platform for comics overseas. Also, another site, Tapastic, offers various Korean webcomics for an international audience. And those have received a great response from online readers for their uniqueness compared to Japanese and American comics. Today, Naver and Daum dominate the Korean webtoon market. As of now, Naver is providing services for 135 webtoon serials, while Daum provides 114. The fusion of electric devices such as smartphone and tablet computers has provided a single platform for webtoons. Naver is making headlines with its plans to set up the webtoon line, basically converging their mobile messenger service and webcomics within this year.
Line Webtoon is a Webtoon platform service customized to each country. At the initial stage, we plan to select potential pieces from the ones which have been popular in Korea. After all, as Webtoon is a cultural content, we plan to find and promote new amateur writers from abroad.
Naver has even displayed its webtoons, translated into English, at the London Book Fair and left global fans in awe. Webtoon writer Kim Yang-soo has serials on Naver, such as Lives in Seoul, featuring funny stories involving ordinary people's lives, and I Suppose, which is historical fiction. Both were recently released in the US and Japan.
There's a huge potential in webtoons as the next content of the Korean wave. Currently, Korean webtoons are at the initial stage of being introduced to the world. I give a lot of thought about entering the global market, and I'm publishing a serial which everyone in the world can relate to.
Webtoon is a new form of mass media which emerged in Korea. Korean webtoons will expand into the global market, but first of all, it's vital to secure a stable channel. Also, when webtoons first came out, they were shared and distributed for free, so copyrights have been neglected. It's urgent that we manage copyrights appropriately for webtoon writers.
Yes, so the digital comics have been provided for free, but now service providers are moving to charge them. So as mentioned before, experts say that we need to systemize the copyrights of these webtoons under individual writers' contract with service providers. Jinju?
And Hyungju, another challenge in expanding into these overseas markets would be translation. How are these webtoons being translated as of now?
Well, currently service providers are translating them, but experts say that we need translators who specialize in comics, so they should be able to translate not only the contextual meaning, but also be able to relate to the young audience overseas while understanding their culture as well.
So there are still a lot of tasks lying ahead for Korean webtoon writers and distributors. Thank you, Hyungju, for that report today. That was our Choi Hyungju reporting on Korean webtoons aiming for the global market.
Happy Monday morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers. And a variety of important domestic issues are featured on today's local papers. One of them on the need for decentralization of authority of the local government in Korea so that they are able to get more independence from the central government. Let's take a look at that story on Gyeongyang Sinmun. And the paper yesterday did a survey on 17 metropolitan local governments throughout the nation in light of the launch of the 6th provincial government slated for tomorrow, July 1st. The headline reads, "Need to redesign local government's limitations." What they found out is that an overwhelming majority of the respondents said it is essential for the central government to resolutely hand over its autonomy and financial resources to the local governments so that they can have the power to make its own decisions. After all, as the subheadline here above the main title says, that at this point the central government takes control of all of the finances as well as authority over human resources, which are tightening the necks of provincial governments. And sliding over to 중앙일보 now, to this top story. And this one is about the troubles regular high schools in Korea are going through due to specialized high schools, or 특목고 as they are called here, along with autonomous private high schools, or 자사고 in Korean. So the headline says regular high schools at stake. Now, according to the subheadlines, regular high schools have less than half of the club activities that take place at autonomous private high schools, and 30% of regular high schools have just one school contest in comparison to the many different kinds of competitions being held at these other specialized schools. They say this is because not as many students at normal regular high schools are interested in pursuing one's studies or being involved in various after-school activities. However, the paper notes that college entrances are becoming more focused on school activities rather than simply entrance exam scores. The students at regular high schools with fewer circles and events are doomed to have a more difficult time getting into good universities. Now, the Daily stresses that a measure to overcome this regular high school crisis is critical at this point in time. And now let's go on to another domestic issue on 동아일보. And this one is about public officials and their premium on health insurance. The title says only public officials receive preferential treatment with health insurance. Therefore, a state agency is pressuring the government to change the current health insurance premium system so that public officials are levied the same amount of payments as those in the private sector. The National Health Insurance Service said yesterday that it requested the Finance Ministry to review the current practice of charging health insurance costs to public workers, as the insurance agency estimates that the government employees together have been given a discount of about 81 billion won in health insurance premiums every year, roughly $80 million a year since 2011. Now, criticism has been mounting that the current practice is unfair for private sector workers who are required to pay health insurance premiums based on their entire salary, including all benefits and allowances as well. And now let's turn to the Mail Business newspaper, and we'll take a look at this side story here. Now, it looks like Korea and China are preparing to sign an agreement on ensuring their tourist safety. The header says Korea-China's era of 10 million tourists, diplomatic cooperation to protect own nationals. Now, in this picture, you can see many Chinese and other foreign tourists bustling on the streets of Myeongdong ahead of the 2014 Seoul summer sale. The new measures will reportedly include a consular agreement and advanced public safety steps. Under the agreement, both governments will be required to notify the other country in the arrest and detainment of each other's citizens and provide consular counseling within 4 days' time. The police of both countries will keep in touch to provide mutual support then for emergency rescue of respective nationals. President Park Geun-hye and Chinese President Xi Jinping are slated to sign such an agreement and memorandum of understanding during their summit talks slated for this Thursday. And that was a look at your newspaper headlines for this Monday. Now coming up are the stock numbers from Friday.
Well, we fared pretty well weather-wise over the weekend and had plenty of sunshine and warmth, right?
That's right. Let's take a closer look at the weather conditions for today with our Chun Sung-cho, who joins us from a park in Seoul. Good morning to you, Sung-cho.
Good morning, Sung-cho.
Good morning, guys. I'm reporting live from the Dosan Park. We're starting off this week under partly cloudy skies with a scorcher in the forecast to hit all across the country, except for Gangwon-do, Gyeonggi-do, and Chungcheongbuk-do provinces, where scattered showers and thunderstorms are expected later in the afternoon. Not only that, another monsoonal rain is in store for us this week in the southern regions. And with that, let's take a closer look at today's forecast. You see several highs hitting the 30s, such as Seoul, Daegu, and Daejeon at 30, and Gwangju the hottest at 31. Gangneung remains the coolest at 25 degrees Celsius. The monsoonal front will hit Jeju first on Wednesday, and the rainfall will spread to other parts of the southern regions through to Thursday. This is all for me with the weather update. Back to you, Minjang.
Let's now check the international headlines we're following this morning. We have our Eunice Kim standing by at the news center. Good morning to you, Eunice.
Hello, Minjung.
Now, the search for survivors is still ongoing in India after 2 buildings collapsed, one after the other on Saturday.
You're absolutely right. More than 100 people are still feared trapped in a construction site of an 11-story tower, including scores of workers believed to have been at the basement when it collapsed near Chennai, the capital of Tamil Nadu state. Now, at least 5 construction company officials have been detained, this on Sunday as part of a police investigation. Earlier in New Delhi, a rundown 4-story building had topped over the second building, killing 10 people, including 2 children. Officials suspect construction work at an adjoining building could be to blame for that. Building collapses are becoming a common occurrence in India, unfortunately, driven by high demand, a lack of construction codes, poor quality building materials, and corruption. A series of churches were attacked and burned down on Sunday in Nigeria. Suspected Boko Haram militants stormed at least 3 churches, The Guardian reports, killing dozens of men, women, and children near Chibok. Residents said about 20 men in a truck and motorcycles drove into town armed with bombs and guns. There is no definitive figure on the number of casualties, but we do know a state of emergency has been in place in northern Nigeria following near daily raids by suspected Boko Haram militants who have killed hundreds in recent months in the name of creating an Islamic state.
Well, let's now get a check on the situation in Iraq. Now, fierce fighting is underway this time in the northwestern city of Tikrit.
Right. You'll remember Sunni militants captured Tikrit some 20 days ago. It's former leader Saddam Hussein's hometown. Now, airstrikes against rebel positions were launched as ground troops were dispatched. They faced a number of improvised explosive devices, reports say, and stiff resistance. There are also reports the insurgents shot down a helicopter and took its pilot into custody. This as the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant formally declared the creation of its own Islamic caliphate. A spokesman in an internet audio posting called on all those living in areas under the group's control to swear allegiance to its declared leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Now, ISIL militants, with the help of other Sunni fighters, have seized much of northern Syria and neighboring Iraq, as we have been reporting. And that's a wrap of the global headlines we're following this morning.
Still to come on Viral Feed, funny football mishaps and goal fails, and adorable kids and their bluntly honest answers, as well as a touching ad about the Korean youths starting their military service. All of this and more coming up with Simon O.
So far, it looks like the Korean box office was dominated with a lot of Hollywood blockbusters such as Transformers 4, but it seems that there are some of the Korean summer blockbusters that are well anticipated, and our Im Yoon-hee joins us with some information on that. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, so we've seen some pretty exciting Korean and Hollywood blockbuster movies so far, right? So we have a couple more Korean blockbusters set to be released in the near future, and they've already got people buzzing. Take a look. It's a Robin Hood story of the Joseon Dynasty. Written and directed by Yoon Jong-bin, the story takes place in the 19th century, where corruption is rampant within society. A band of righteous outlaws called Gundo start stealing from the unjust wealthy and start giving to the poor of the village, creating tension within. There's nobody who can stop them, and the group becomes a symbol of fear for the corrupt nobles, but also a symbol of hope for the downtrodden. Action-packed and featuring some big names, the movie is expected to heat up theaters next month.
The movie is easy to understand and it's exhilarating as well. There's also character development within the plot.
Admiral Lee Sun-shin is one of the most recognized heroes in Korea's history, and he comes alive on the silver screen in the soon-to-be-released movie Roaring Currents, or Myeongyang in Korean. He protected his country and overcame tremendous adversity over 400 years ago, when 12 naval vessels under his command defeated 330 Japanese vessels in the water of Myeongnam.
The biggest challenge was to get the feeling of being on the beach. There's a more dynamic aspect and more diverse movement in the movie.
Another movie set in the Joseon Dynasty, The Pirates, takes place on the rocky ocean waters, as a band of pirates led by heroine Yeol treks the seas in search of a whale that swallowed the royal seal. The pirates battle bandits and others, all in search of the priceless treasure given to the Joseon Dynasty on the founding eve of the dynasty. The movie stars actors Kim Nam-gil and Son Ye-jin in this action-packed adventure film.
The story is of historical heroes and of people in crisis. It's sure to spark the interest of the Korean people because of the vivid intensity of the movie. There are high expectations.
These adventure drama movies are expected to draw in the crowds, whether the action be on sea or on land, and it's sure to heat up theaters this summer.
All right, that duo, Son Ye-jin and Kim Nam-gil, they were also in a drama. So this is their on-screen, I guess, they're reunited this time, right?
Exactly.
All right. So it looks like that the pirates have already been getting a lot of attention these days through critics as well as anticipation between fans alike.
Right. The movie has been garnering attention. It actually made 15 distribution deals with international groups at the Cannes Film Festival, and so people are very excited about that. It's a good opportunity for Korean movies, and because of the attention it garnered at the festival, they are expecting some high expectations here on the peninsula as well for the movie.
And we also did see Ha Jung-woo over there in his role as the Robin Hood of the Joseon Dynasty. Kind of looks like Genghis Khan. He has that thing going, right?
Three exciting movies.
That's right. Lee Seok-kun, he's also known for Dancing Queen as well. So a lot of these, both of these movies are coming out that are supposed to hit theaters, are well anticipated within the community.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that.
Always a pleasure.
All right, still ahead on Korea Today, we are going to be meeting a young lady who is actually teaching English here, but has dreams of becoming an action star. Chelci Arnold, she wants to be an action star, and she's going to action school, also known as stunt school here in Korea. She adores Korean period dramas, and she's been itching to challenge herself with a new task. We'll get a look at that.
Now, time for news sum up, and much to the sadness of his female fans, Korean football star Park Ji-sung is tying the knot very soon. In fact, next month in July, and the wedding invitation is out. Did you get one?
I wish I could get one, but apparently the invitation showed his strong attachment to his former team, Manchester United, and his time there. For more on this and other keywords, our Seo Mi-sorang joins us from the digital room. Good morning, Mi-sorang.
Good morning. I'll show you the cards later on. They're quite unique. But before I do that, let's run through some of the other issues that are trending online. Some 700 exemplary taxpayers are to receive special treatment at the Incheon International Airport. The wedding invitations we mentioned earlier. 12 years has passed since the second Yeonpyeong battle, a deadly naval clash between South and North Korea. According to the Korea Employers Federation, 1 out of every 4 recent graduates leave their first jobs within the first 12 months. And many look up details on histrionic personality disorder after a high-profile criminal is diagnosed with the condition. Now going back to the first listing there, starting tomorrow, Queen Yeona, actor-singer Kim Hyun-jung, and 700 others will receive special treatment at the Incheon International Airport. They'll be able to bypass the long queues at checkpoints and speed up their departure process. Let's see why. The National Tax Service announced yesterday that together with the Ministry of Justice, it had chosen 702 very high-income earners that contributed to the state of national finance by being diligent in paying their due tax. Included on the list are some familiar names such as figure skater Kim Yeona, actors Kim Hyun-jung and Song Seung-hun, as well as actresses Ha Ji-won and Han Hyo-joo. Starting July 1st, the 702 outstanding citizens will be rewarded at the airport with access to their own immigration checkpoints and joint access to the crew member security checkpoints for the coming 3 years. This reward system for exemplary taxpayers had been in place on and off since 2005, but the National Tax Service announced that starting this year, it will regularly choose around 700 people every year in July. Moving on to our next issue, former football player Park Ji-sung and Korean newscaster Kim Min-ji will tie the knot next month, and their unique wedding invitation card is gaining worldwide attention. The whimsical pop-up card is an ode to Manchester United. Let's take a look. When you open the invitation card, the Old Trafford Stadium pops up, the bride and groom's names appearing on the north stand. The phrase Wedding of Dreams is printed below the stadium, a play on the Old Trafford's nickname, the Theatre of Dreams. Of course, it's an ode to Manchester United, the English football club in which Park Ji-sung played for 7 years at the peak of his career, from 2005 to 2012. According to the company that crafted the cards, all 600 invitations were painstakingly made by hand and were quite costly to make as a result. Park Ji-sung and Kim Min-ji's wedding will take place on July 27th at the Walker Hill Hotel in East Seoul, and we wish them all the best. And that concludes our look at today's edition of your Daily News Sum Up.
And a good Monday morning to you all as we kick things off with our 2014 Brazil World Cup action, starting off with an exciting match which took place earlier today. The Netherlands taking on Mexico. Let's take a look at the highlights. They started out rather slow with both sides scoreless after the first half, but Giovanni Dos Santos scores the first goal of the match, giving Mexico the 1-0 lead. Mexico had it in the bag, but Wesley Sneijder in the 88th minute finds the back of the net for the equalizer. The match looked like it was going to extra time, but a penalty is called in the dying seconds of the match as Huntelaar scores the game winner, helping the Netherlands advance to the quarterfinals with a 2-1 win. Meanwhile, Greece taking on Costa Rica scoreless first half, but Brian Ruiz in the 52nd minute gives Costa Rica the 1-0 lead. Now, both sides looking quite defensive the rest of the way, but another last-minute equalizer by Socrates Papastolopoulos. And after the penalty shootout, the Costa Ricans take this one after a 5-3 penalty victory. And now let's take a look at the exciting finishes from the previous day, including Brazil and Chile, who fought hard till the end. Of course, taking a look at the scores here. Now, a couple of first-half goals had both sides tied at 1 apiece, and even after the extra time, no winner. With some dramatic penalty as several key missed spot kicks led to Neymar scoring the deciding penalty as the host nation advanced with a 3-2 penalty victory. Meanwhile, Uruguay without Luis Suarez didn't look threatening at all as Colombia's James Rodriguez scores twice in this match, helping Colombia win it 2-0. Of course, after their 1-0 loss to Belgium last week, Korea's World Cup hopes came to an end rather early, and the players, of course, have just returned to Korea from Brazil. And it wasn't the best time for the players in Brazil, but there were 3 stars who really shined and have proved to have raised their value on the team. And while many of the players were criticized for their lack of form during the World Cup, 3 players on the team were praised and were considered the bright stars on the squad. There, of course, including Kim Shi-nook, who proved to be the best striker on the team, and there was Lee Gun-ho, who came back from the squad after being left off in 2010 and was considered the best player on the team despite coming off the bench. And after this World Cup, the future of Korea's goalkeeping was finalized as Kim Seung-gyu proved to be the better and younger goalkeeper ahead of Jang Song-young. And now finishing things off, we continue on with our ever so controversial biting incident of Luis Suarez, who of course has been suspended for his actions against Giorgio Chiellini last week. Because now, according to a report, it might not have been his 3rd offense, but his 8th. According to England's Daily Star, Luis Suarez during his youth football days bit 5 other players on the pitch. Of course, when he was just 14 years of age. And the report added that those previous incidents were reported to FIFA and that the 4-month ban was not enough to punish the star. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend. I'm Simon O, and of course that means it's time for our viral feed. We're going to be having a look at some of the hottest stories to have made waves on the web over the past week. Now, first of all, unfortunately, we didn't make it into the round of 16 here in Korea, but the World Cup is still a big thing nowadays, as we saw with SJ's update. And there are many, many different football-related clips online from all over the world. Let's take a look at some of them. We start out with a woman who's putting a lot of paint on a soccer ball and rolling it around a huge canvas. What's going on? Looks like kind of a mess. Is she drawing something? It must be something good if it's such a hit on YouTube. And finally, we get to the result. They are portraits. Wait for it, and we'll see who they are. There we go. Ronaldo, Neymar, and Messi, some of the biggest stars of the World Cup, drawn on a canvas with a ball. I think that's pretty awesome. Now, the thing with football, when we watch the World Cup, we see the good stuff, the awesome stuff, but it's not always all good. And I think I can narrate this next series of clips with just the word ouch, as in ouch, ouch, ouch. Some of the stuff here, it looks like it's starting out great, but we have innocent passersby. This guy looks like he's off to a good start. Oh, not so much. All this going on, and I gotta say, it makes me feel a little bit better about my own lack of how shall we say, athletic ability.
Oh no.
It's terrible, but I can't stop laughing at it.
Right back at you.
Yep. We see some of these guys looking at their buddies and thinking, this is going to go well, and of course it doesn't. And even the cameraman is not safe, as we can see from these last few pics. Ouch.
Oh, but that innocent
you look
woman,
at some
she
of
was
these
just
things.
walking by.
You think, well, people never learn, and I have to be thankful for all this awkwardness with people and their cameras and their athletic work because it gives me a lot of stuff to share with you. Now, we've started with sports, but of course, every week I come in here and I try to come up with something that's going to make you go, aww. And I think I have a pretty strong entry this week. Let's take a look. We have a baby, looks pretty happy, and oh, he's scrunching up his face. What's going on? It's a lemon. This video of a baby trying out a lemon for the first time has been getting loads and loads of hits on the web. Watching this though, I had to think, if I put myself up on the web with expressions like that, maybe it wouldn't have worked so well. Works with that baby though. Now this is one of my favorite videos of the week. It's a baby saying, ah, or daddy. Pretty well. Why is dad so... Oh, we see the ulterior motive. He was trying to get an answer that daddy is better loved, but of course that didn't happen. We see a similar video from overseas.
Dad. Who's your favorite?
There's no hesitation. Who's your favorite? He tries to get sneaky here and tries to change up the question a little bit. Still doesn't work. He's so secretive. Who's your least favorite? It's dad. I felt bad though. Here's the thing though, I do not only the babies, but I also love the dad's reactions here. I like that more and more dads are trying to get into the whole child rearing thing and saying, look, it's not just all about your mom, it's also me. I'm doing my part.
Well, it's true. Even my kids, if I ask them, who do you like better, mommy or daddy? They'll always say,
well,
mommy.
Can you blame them? We change them, we feed them, we tuck them into bed, we do everything.
Kids,
I think moms.
Half of you comes from us.
Young, I think you've been had.
There's no arguing about that, right?
Before this devolves into an argument between moms and dads, we'll go on to our next video. We've had our sports thrills, we've had our aw moment, and now we're going to move on to our next story, which is going to perhaps make you tear up a little bit. Let's have a look. Now, this is an ad about young Korean men in their 20s who are entering into the military. Of course, service here is mandatory for every able-bodied man here in Korea. It's about 2 years. We see some of them having interviews about the way it makes them feel. Most of them have their say. And getting your head shaved. Now, if you go through this, you'll already know that this is the part of getting into the military where it all becomes really real. It's not something you can put off any longer. You can see it on their expressions. But then, as they get a little sad, they have a surprise in store for them. Video messages from their families. I'll let you take in the messages and the reactions for a moment.
우리 아들을 항상 자랑스럽게 생각하거든. 엄마가 많이 아프니까 많이 걱정했지. 엄마 잘 이겨내고 있고 건강한 모습으로 회복돼서
I think all of us here in Korea have either been to the military or are prepping for it, or at the very least know someone who has served. And this sort of demonstration of emotion, I think it's something very real, something very heartfelt that we're all familiar with. Now, thankfully for these guys, it's not all tears because they have a very happy surprise in waiting for them. Their families join them from the back room, and we say they get a moment to sort of enjoy each other's company before they have to go into that service.
He hit the nail on the head. He said, I'll be back as a man, right? You go in as a boy, come back as a man.
That's something important, though, because I actually only did a very, very brief stint in the military, but my friends who have done the whole 2 years have told me it's difficult, but there is definitely stuff to be learned from the experience that they come up as more mature people. So I think this message, it's a good chance for us to say thank you for everyone who serves for us. Alrighty, we're going to go ahead to our final story. It's been a scorcher of a weekend. Have you guys been sweating it out this week? I know it's been a little bit warm for you guys, but we have a clip that's going to cool you down. We've been having weather in the 30s, but this is something that's going to send thrills down your spine. Let's have a look. Take a look at that view. Now, this is a clip from Lake Powell, Utah in the U.S. And if you've ever lived in the U.S., I'm pretty sure you've seen a slip and slide. Just never one like this.
That has to be fun.
Not one built over a cliff. Talk about extreme slip and sliding. It's going to send you screaming over a cliff that's, get this, 50 feet high. That's over 15 meters. And as I said, this reel will cool you off, chills down your spine. Now, I know that this is something I shouldn't have to say, but just in case, I'm going to say, don't do this at home because this was attempted by professionals. After it got posted on YouTube, it had 20 million views in its first week. And once again, I'm going to repeat myself, do not try this at home. It looks wonderful, but that is something that could get you pretty badly hurt.
I want to know if Jinju would put herself... No, okay, well, I didn't even get to ask my question.
It does look very refreshing though, doesn't it?
Well, she said no.
That's a lot of fun, but you can also see that they had 2 safety boats right there, ready for any kind of an emergency.
If you take a look at if you take a look at the B-roll, or if you look at some of the behind-the-scenes shots that creators of the video also posted online, there was a lot of preparation that went into it. You can see, for example, that they used not just water, but soap bubbles, because if you have a snag on that slide as you're going over that cliff, that's going to be super, super dangerous. So it's not just all fun and games. There was some pretty professional work that went into it.
Environmentally responsible dish soap.
Is that detergent they're using?
Yeah, they're using soap because
environmentally responsible dish soap.
Just one of the most painful injuries, I'm told, is if you have a slip and slide burn where you run out of lubricant on the slide. Obviously, that's not something you want to have happen with something this thrilling.
That rock surface, it has to be a little bit rough, so I'm kind of wondering, even slipping down, you might feel a few bumps and scratches on your back, right?
I mean, even just the belly flop is pretty bad.
I've done that kind of, sort of, but
yeah. Really?
Yeah, every little rock under the vinyl, you can actually feel it. So you need a smooth
seeing you in a different light now.
Wow. No, on the grass. I mean, not like that.
Super impressive. I think that's maybe an idea to try out later in the summer. We have a camera following Young around as he jumps off a cliff.
I don't think you want to see me without a shirt.
Alrighty, well, I hope that helped you beat the heat a little bit. I hope you've enjoyed this week's Viral Feed. That's it for now, and I'll be back next week with more. Ciao for now.
All right, what were some of your dreams when you were a child, or what are some of your dreams right now? We're going to meet someone who's going right after them of becoming an action star or even a stunt man. Our Chanina joins us. Stunt woman, excuse me. Yeah. Chanina joins us with more on that. So you want to be a stunt woman?
No, not me, but maybe in another lifetime. Our guest today on Ins and Outs is a woman from the United States, Chelci Arnold, who came to Korea because she had originally aspirations to become an actress, an action star. And one thing that really caught her attention were the historical dramas in Korea, the period dramas where they're on horseback and they're conducting all sorts of martial arts. So this is what she was interested in and wanted to learn. This is in Korean 마상무예, equestrian martial arts. So let's see her tackle this activity.
Oh.
Already in action.
Yep, starting off strong here.
Oh.
Meet the woman showing off these powerful martial arts skills, Chelci Arnold.
Well, she's got such a baby face too, but not such a baby when it comes to...
I wouldn't want to meet her in a dark alley.
I like to watch historical dramas. In historical dramas, they have really amazing action scenes. There are even times when they do archery on horseback. That is something I really, really want to learn. Ins and Outs, can you help me with that?
Equestrian martial arts. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like, a type of martial arts done on horseback. This is a traditional form of Korean arts called 마상무예. And as you can see, it requires great skill, archery, sword-wielding techniques from atop a horse. Koreans come from an ancestry of horse-riding nomads. They lived a life where their livelihoods depended on their horses.
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 네, 제 이름은 저씨입니다. 반갑습니다. 네.
And now time for the riding lessons, but safety first. The instructor helped Chelci into safety gear for her first lesson. She couldn't wait to get started, but she ran into a slight hiccup.
It's difficult to get up on that horse. It's quite high.
Exactly, it really isn't as easy as it looks. Luckily, the instructor was there to help out, and Chelci was a quick learner. She learned how to handle her horse, and then she learned how to work with her horse. Not bad for a first-timer. Chelci was adjusting and seemed to be getting more comfortable in the saddle.
I suppose you have to get in the rhythm.
Good.
It was time to add to the challenge. Next step, archery. Ages ago, Koreans were revered for their craftsmanship of the bow and arrow, not to mention their great prowess of archery. Through the centuries, archery was a formidable skill mastered by the great warriors. Chelci was ready to test more of her athletic ability. She followed the instructor's directions carefully and studied her every move. Left hand holding the bow, fitting her arrow along the groove, and using 3 fingers to grasp it in place. Right foot pointed towards the target, left foot pointed to 1 o'clock.
Then focus.
Aim and shoot, exactly. The arrow didn't hit the target, but that was to be expected since it was her first shot.
가운데를 맞추기 위해서는 집중을 하고 활 쏘기 전에 호흡을 잠시 멈춘 다음에 집중해서 쏘는 게 가장 중요한 거죠.
Focus, then breathe. Then let go. 알겠습니다.
Done.
Chelci realized that she had to calm her mind and then focus in order to direct her arrow. She continued practicing one arrow after another, and she hit near the center.
Wow. I hurt my finger a little bit, but it's to be expected since it was my first time. So after this, I had to try doing archery on the horse, which is part of the whole martial art. I think I can do it though.
Chelci Arnold was now ready to get in full wardrobe. She's been interested in Korean period dramas on TV ever since she was young. Finally, she'd be able to get an inkling of what it'd be like to be in one herself. Will her arrow hit the target? Great posture, good form, but no hit. But she didn't come all the way here to fail. She focuses, aims.
All right.
And
did she get it?
yes,
Wow,
shoots the target.
She really is a
In the
quick
future,
learner.
I want to continue to do this, like horseback riding and archery. And today I felt like an action actress, so there was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. 잘했어. 고맙다.
She bonded with the horse too.
And even though there wasn't much time, she did get to move one step closer to her dream. And of course, we wish her all the best.
Wow, quite impressive.
I can't imagine that's the usual one off the bucket list for people in Korea too.
Right.
Equestrian martial art, right?
Yeah, it's different, I would say.
She enjoyed it.
She did. She absolutely did. And it was kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone here, right? You're learning 2 different skills, archery while horseback riding. So she told our staff that the archery part she was very impressed with, even herself, because it was just all done in a day's work. Meanwhile, the horseback riding part, that was something new for her too. But she said the horse was a good leader for her in this case. She was on a veteran horse apparently, and that really helped her out a lot.
And 마상무예 is something that dates back many centuries back, even to the Joseon dynasty. Right?
That's right. This is nothing new. In the Joseon dynasty, 마상무예 was actually a mandatory test for people who had an interest in guarding the country, officers to protect the country. And these delegations, this diplomatic delegation made up of these specialists were called Joseon 통신사, and they would be sent to Japan, and in Japan they would show off their martial arts prowess, and crowds of Japanese would come and watch. You could say these were the original Korean wave stars in one way or another, right?
Right. But it wasn't Korea that had this type of martial arts. Even in the medieval times in Europe, they had this battle arts done on horseback, right?
Yeah, we're all familiar with the martial arts conducted in the medieval times, Roman chariots, for instance, and the 무예도 보통지 actually published in the 18th century. Due to that, we were able to relearn this whole training process from the Joseon dynasty because this was actually halted during the Japanese occupation period of Korea. But thanks to this martial arts text, we were able to relearn it, and this practice became revived around 1990.
You know, I have a question. So since they do offer lessons like this, do people take them or, partake in this martial art for health benefits, perhaps, like Taekwondo?
Yeah. If you were to start today, I would say it would be very hard, of course, but it's known to strengthen endurance, strengthen your muscles. And the first thing that you'll notice when you are taking on this this specific martial arts, is that it also improves your posture very much. So I guess being on horseback, it improves your posture as well.
It's funny that word posture. The moment you say that, everyone just goes like this.
Yeah. Oh, gotta work on that.
Some lessons on horseback riding, but doing those two things at the same time, that's the tough part.
Of course.
Just doing one at a time would be fine, I think, for a beginner, but it's gotta be tough. And there's a school that teaches you how to do these things, right?
Right. The one that Chelci went to was one in Gyeonggi-do province, and there you can practice, and you can learn separately for beginners if you want. So start with just learning the archery, or start with mastering horseback riding, because even that in itself is very exhausting. I hear horseback riding is a huge calorie burner. 10 minutes on horseback is equivalent to about an hour's worth
What a great exercise.
You mean for the horse or for the person?
The horse does the running and you drop the
person, I hope. For the person, I hope.
And it gives you a good posture as
well.
well.
Exactly.
Right. Oh, interesting.
So before we let you go, how can foreigners living in Korea take part in this Ins and Outs segment?
Oh, it's absolutely easy and open to anyone who is interested in experiencing a unique part of Korean culture, or anything that you are interested in. Please feel free to write us your story and what you want to do up on our message board, and that can be obtained on our website, arirang.co.kr.
You know, our Ins and Outs segments gaining popularity overseas.
Is that right?
We're getting people writing in from the US saying, can we take part, although we don't live in Korea, when we visit Seoul, can we take part in this? So I think this is catching on. I like this.
I really invite our viewers to make the most out of that opportunity, because it is on us.
It is on It's free, and you get to experience new things here in Korea.
With the best team.
With the best team.
Safely.
Yes, exactly.
If it's not horseback riding, you can do other things like Taekwondo and lots of other things, right?
The possibilities are endless.
All right, sounds great. Thank you very much, Mina.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. See you next week. All right, well, that just about does it for this edition of Korea Today.
All right, enjoy the rest of your Monday, and we will see you back here tomorrow at 7 a.m.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.